In this third fight, I think psychologically, Canelo is not taking it personal. Triple G is taking it personal. Why? Because he feels like he got a bad decision in number one. He feels like he got a bad decision in number two. And now he gets the opportunity to fix it all in number three.
Well, I believe in this fight coming up against Triple G, I think that loss will affect him somewhat early. It's important for Triple G to get out ahead and put Canelo behind on the scorecards to make him do something that he probably wouldn't otherwise do in a fight. Can he get that done? I'm not sure. That remains to be seen. But I believe this fight is for Canelo to lose. If he's distracted, it's going to give GGG more opportunities to get off, maybe land some big shots that he hadn't been able to land thus far, maybe stop him in the distance. I think that's the only way GGG can secure victory.
I see Canelo looking to make a statement in his last fight with Golovkin. We know both guys have a lot to prove in their own mind, but Canelo is a bit teed off coming off the loss. Also, he's probably a bit teed off hearing Golovkin complain about not getting the decisions. And, of course, lastly, he's going to want to knock him out in the Mexican style, being aggressive and taking it to him. I can't see anything but a Canelo knockout here in the third fight.
So they are set to face off for a third time. But Canelo's coming off a loss. And Triple G is 40 years old. How will those storylines affect what we will see in the trilogy fight? We'll find out, and our champions will break it all down. Here we go. It's time to talk.
The podcast on ProBox TV, the boxing channel.
So they will do it once again. We've always said the only thing better than a rematch is a trilogy. This trilogy will happen on August 17th on DAZN from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Triple G and Canelo Alvarez go at it. Roy Jones for a third time. Is it worthy of the hype of a true trilogy matchup?
In my opinion, it's definitely worthy of the hype because you got to remember, man, some matchups, every time they fight, they're going to be good fights. Jordan Foreman, Ken Norton. Not Jordan Foreman, Ali Ken Norton. Ali Joe Frazier. Jones Tarver. Every time you match up, it's going to be a good fight. Doesn't matter. So how could you expect this fight, even though they're older, to be less action or underrated as opposed to the first two? Because these are the same two guys. They have 24 rounds of action-packed activity.
Right.
How could 12 more, which makes for 36 rounds, be any different?
We've talked about the age difference in the past. We talked about Canelo's options, Paulie, after the loss to Bivol. And at one point, I think all you guys kind of said, well, Triple G, is that a different pick? Where should he be going? Where should he be headed? But to Roy's point, you put this on paper, and myself as a fan, now I am watching the highlights from 5 years ago, but myself as a fan, I'm super pumped for this third matchup.
Well, you can get, that's the thing about highlights. You can take highlights and you can hype up anything. I mean, you can
I'm taking them back to the mid-30s and early 20s, late 20s.
Right now, you can make Mike Tyson Holyfield fight again, and you can take all their highlights from their first two fights in the early career, and you can sell it like some kind of product, but it's not going to be the product in the ring. But so highlights can be deceiving at times. I think at the moment these guys fought, that was the hot thing. When they first fought the first two times, that was the hot thing. And I think you have to steer while the iron's hot. I felt like Golovkin got a raw deal in the first fight. I felt in the second fight it could have went either way. I thought right at that moment was when you make the third fight. Now, having said what you just said about when we first talked about Triple G, I remember talking with the fellas before Canelo fought Bivol, and we were talking about which contract Golovkin should take. Was the PBC contract or the DAZN contract, right? Where the PBC contract was offering Charlo and Benavidez for Canelo as opponents, and the DAZN contract was offering Bivol and Golovkin. And we kind of all agreed that the DAZN contract was the more convenient one, because in case he took an L against Bivol, there was a bit of a soft touch on the back end, which is an older Golovkin, right? This is not the same Golovkin you fought the first 2 times. And I think the world kind of recognizes that. While if you take the PBC contract, you may lose to Charlo, which is also a big risk. And then your reward is a young, hungry Benavidez, who is also a major risk. So piggybacking off of that, I'm also going to add one more thing. You can check the YouTube videos yourself. I remember 5 years ago after the rematch and where Canelo was given the rematch decision, I said he is now going to wait out Golovkin and not fight him until he's older and he has a major advantage over him. Don't hate the messenger, hate the game, my man. And because, I know a lot of people get mad at when we criticize their favorite fighters, but your favorite fighters should be giving you the most entertaining moments of their careers. Now, Canelo obviously has given many entertaining moments, but in this particular case, you cannot tell me this wasn't playing chess outside the ring, where he purposely waited out Golovkin until he was a little older. I mean, I predicted it, so I could kind of see that writing on the wall. It was hard to make the fight to begin with. I remember when they were first making Canelo Golovkin, and then was being discussed. It was hard to get that fight done. You know what I mean? They finally got it done. And then, you kind of snuck away with a decision in the second fight after you got a draw in the first fight, and you just kind of left everybody hanging there. I get it. You're playing chess, not checkers, and you're able to have better chess pieces when you're the money guy, when you're the A side. But, I kind of call it like I see it too.
Generally, you do that exact thing. You do have no hesitation in calling it as you see it. Antonio, for Triple G, at 40 years old, he, in his mind, he could feel like he's 2-0. Doesn't matter that the decisions went the different way, the draw and then the loss, but 2-0. But still, if he wins this fight, he may have, in some ways, won all 3 fights because he puts all those doubts and all that controversy behind him. So Triple G wins this third one. Seeing how the first 2 have gone, does Triple G, even though it's just 1 win each, does he win the series?
I think if Triple G can defeat Canelo and the judges give it to him, maybe if he can do something miraculously, maybe stop Triple G, I think he finally get that thorn out of his ass. Can I say that? Yeah, because that's what it's been. When you look at GGG's record, the only blemish is this man Canelo. I can't get over that hump for nothing. And we've been in the same weight campaigning and, he has to, if he don't beat Canelo, and he have to look back at his career and say there was just one man I couldn't get past, every level he's gonna have to, question.
But I think it's all a matter of perception too, right? I mean,
And he's old, 40 years old. We can't expect him to do something.
He wanted the third fight right away. It's all a matter of perception too. Is it a case that you got past him but you weren't awarded the decision? I mean, it's probably more so that than anything else. I mean, there's no way Golovkin didn't win the first fight. So this actually reminded me, the way you asked Antonio the question, it actually reminded me. The reason I said that Canelo would wait out Golovkin until he got old was because he could knock him out in the last fight. You can look back, you could go on your YouTube, it's free, and check the old interviews that I did back then. He'll wait him out so then he can knock him out in the third fight and make people forget that the first 2 fights were controversial. People will forget that, and that's the thing. People have short memories. So here we are, and if he knocks him out, you just brought that up. Does he kind of make it all the wrongs right by just getting the knockout? People will just forget the fact that, man, you might have robbed this guy twice before that, and then didn't even give him a third fight. You know what I mean? Like, it's the possibility's there, and I'm not saying he definitely robbed him in the second fight, but that fight could have went either way.
Fight is at 165. It's September 17th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Roy, we did a breakdown of Canelo Alvarez 101, if you will. And one of the things you had mentioned back then is beloved, but not as undeniably beloved as one would think. And some of that comes from the way the Triple G fights went, the draw. Many people thought he lost 1, maybe lost 2. For Canelo Alvarez, he can put all that away with a victory. Would that be a correct statement?
I think it's a correct statement, but the problem we have is we know that Triple G is older, but who's hungrier? Because you got a win and a draw over him.
Right.
He just has a loss and a draw over you, and like Paulie just said, 2 fights that could have easily gone either way. You understand? So you went on to do other things. He been looking at you the whole time. You understand? Yep. You have had different targets. You still have been his target. It's a lot easier when he focuses just on you while you focusing on the rest of the world.
You're tuned into the ProBox TV podcast.
Yalla. Wow! He got to get off the rope. He got to finish it. Wow! What a round. So far, semifinals are delivered.
This is my favorite part of ProBox. This last chance tournament, everybody got something to fight for. I love it.
Another right hand.
I tell you, Fernandez not going down around 9 could be crucial here.
Yeah.
Good return by Canelo.
Everybody's giving it all they got.
Never a bad fight. Every single one of these fights delivers. Guys are hungry and guys are skilled enough to give a good fight. Wow, what a round.
And this is the opportunity that most of these guys never had. A fair shot. You get a fair shot here at ProBox TV. Wow! Go to ProBoxTV.com right now.
So Bivol, there was a size difference. There was a strategy difference. And he was outboxed by a bigger guy. Canelo went up. But a loss to Bivol, then a loss to Triple G. What does that do for the persona of Canelo Alvarez?
I don't think it really does nothing. Maybe make us have a fourth Triple G fight. We don't know. I mean, I don't think it does a whole lot, though, because none of us in this room, these three that know what we're talking about, expect him to beat Bivol. So the fans that don't know boxing may have, but we didn't expect that because we know that there's a different animal. Now, the only difference that may happen this time is if Triple G is smart and studies the way that Bivol fought him, they are very similar with their background. They both come from that Eastern European bloc, right? So you can easily go out and kind of duplicate what Bivol did. You just not as big.
The thing, Roy,
And you're 40 years old.
the common denominator is they're both from the Eastern Bloc, but they fight a little bit differently. I feel like Golovkin is a guy who sits more on his shots and needs to be planted to throw, while Bivol likes that speed combination and activity.
What I'm saying is, if you know boxing, and you know this man came back as a lefty when he was a right-hander.
Yeah.
If you know boxing, you understand where I'm coming from?
Nobody knows that.
You understand me?
Nobody
If you know boxing and you can make adjustments and you want to win bad enough, then you're going to do what's necessary to try to win.
Can he do it at 40 years old?
Well, I mean, if he can't, then he's going to get stopped.
That's my prediction.
You know, I was thinking, man, I believe Canelo is living rent-free in GGG head. When I look at some of GGG other fights, it just seemed like he's a different animal in there when he's with Canelo. It seemed like he fights with a little bit too much respect. And I just don't feel like he's really put that beast on Canelo like I think he could have.
You think he did in the first fight? I thought in the first fight he chased him all over the ring, man. I felt
yeah,
like
but you
in the
chasing,
second
you
fight,
got to cut the ring
up.
off. Chasing and cutting the ring off, two different things.
That was one of the criticisms I had.
And secondly, to what he just said, my other problem with that, first fight, y'all just box. You were saying you fight Mexican style. Second fight, you challenged him to fight you Mexican style, and then you backed up.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's the telling factor. That right there alone, if that happened, the reason for the same reason that I think it happened, then he's not going to beat Canelo.
That's more of a psychological advantage, right? Canelo has a psychological advantage in that regard that, he could go off and set that challenge, put the gauntlet down.
If I can bully you, I'm going to bully you forever.
Yeah.
He bullied him.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe it's just a psychological thing with GGG. When he's in there with Canelo, he doesn't, I don't believe, push that gas pedal like I've seen him do in so many other
I don't think
occasions.
he can back up Canelo now at this point. Not at 40 years old, not the way from what I saw in the Murata fight. And Canelo is going to be pissed off coming off the Bivol loss. I mean, it's not like he got hurt against Bivol. He just got his ego hurt against Bivol. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's got the right kind of prey in front of him, sort of a fading Golovkin, who he already has a bone to pick with anyway. So he's going to be looking to take it out on him, and for that reason, I said it 5 years ago. He's going to stop him in the third fight.
And what year was the first fight?
17.
17. So Bivol has a 5-year anger fire building inside of him.
Yes. Golovkin.
I mean, not the Golovkin. I'm going to say here. Golovkin has a 5-year flame burning inside his soul. So that 5-year flame may burn off some extra years.
Do you stay that mad when you're that old, when you're older? I felt like I was more angry in my 20s.
No.
I felt like in my 30s I was like,
certain
whatever.
things, if you're still doing it, gonna piss you off anyway. He's still doing it. right? And why you think he's still doing it? For this one opportunity. Who that one opportunity against? You understand me? Exactly. So that's the only reason he's boxing right now. If it weren't for Canelo, Triple G would have been retired, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, but that also, do you think that also comes into play financially as well? I mean, you can't make a bigger payday than Canelo, right? So,
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, where he's from, he's a legend.
yeah.
Don't matter no more for him. So it's not about the money. He wants to win.
And then the fact that, you know, Canelo is coming off a loss, and a loss that he kind of got outclassed in, there's going to be some thoughts in the back of his head, you know what I'm saying? Especially if GGG can get off early and put Canelo in that behind, you know, behind a couple rounds where he's going to have to get out of his comfort zone to do something exceptional. So GGG has a opportunity here, but at 40 years old and at those long layoffs, does he still have that type of intensity that I think is going to take to change the scorecard in this Canelo fight?
Roy mentioned the 5-year fire and the anger and the angst that he holds. Did you have a similar experience in your career with a certain opponent in a certain fight?
You know I did,
Well,
man.
I know, but I'm just throwing the softball. Knock it out of the park, Magic Man.
No, unfortunately for me, it was just one king. You know what I mean? So it wasn't, you know, it was just one guy standing on the top of that mountain. And you know, he set that bar so high for all of us. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things. And, you know, watching the great Roy Jones Jr. and being in the ring with him for 13s, of course, it was an inspiration. I felt like if he could do it, so could I. I always felt like that. So when I saw him years before that, it was an inspiration for me to really get my head together, my life together, and know that, hey, it's something great inside of me too. So, you know, that's what it was for me. It was that benchmark that I just had to reach.
Paulie, as a professional athlete, you're going to take the big picture of your career and you're going to live with it the rest of your life. Triple G is in that situation right now. What is going to be that last memory? Is it going to be finally getting my justice, beating Canelo Alvarez, or will it be I never got it? Ray Borg took 22 years to win Stanley Cup.
Yeah, of course.
Great
But
ones have it.
Ray is also in a team sport.
Correct,
With Golovkin, he's aging on his own, and nobody's going to help him out with this aging thing. You know what I'm saying? And aging is a real thing. No matter what everybody wants to say about it's just a number. No. Age is a real thing. If age was just a number, we'd be fighting at 60 years old against 25-year-old guys. Age is not just a number. Having said that, you know, there are guys who have been able to overcome and do special things. I mean, when we think about this kind of rivalry and this kind of mental, almost like a block that Golovkin may have in his head, a determination that he's got to go get this guy, we can think of our ProBox TV fellow analyst and Juan Manuel Marquez, right? I mean, at 39 years old, he knocked the dog out of Pacquiao, man. I mean, he knocked him the F out in a fight where at that moment, it was Pacquiao's world, and Marquez was just living in it. He hadn't been able to get a decision in 3 fights. And it was bothering him because, you know, he could have got some of those decisions, just like Golovkin could have got those decisions, you know, and it bothered him so much that he went and knocked this guy out cold and then never fought him again. Say, nah, you take that for getting all those bad decisions against me, you know. So, you know, with Golovkin, are we in the same situation here? That's the only way I can spin it for Golovkin, because I can't see any other result except a Canelo knockout. But the only thing I can spin it is that there is a special fire burning in Golovkin to the point where it's almost a competitive obsession and dislike. You know, I think Pacquiao and Marquez, you know, they have a big respect for each other today. But in that moment, there's such a competitiveness to you that you end up disliking that guy, man. Like I've heard Juan telling me when he knocked out Pacquiao, it was something that he saw with the way Pacquiao would feint. He would always feint his way in the same way and punch off that feint. And he said all of a sudden in training camp, we realized that we started practicing punching off when we see the feint, because he never feints and goes back. He would always feint and step in. So he's like, when we see that feint, we're going to, and he said, I remember Juan told me, he's like, I saw that feint in that round, and I was like, come here, you son of a B. And I just threw the hardest right hand I could throw, and I knew he was gone. So that's an obsession almost with an anger. You throw all your frustration with that shot, you know? Not to say Golovkin is going to land that kind of shot, but if there's that kind of anger there, you know, if there's that kind of, from a competitive standpoint, of course, because at the end of the day, you guys get in there at a high level, there's respect. But it's, that's something that could create a special moment like Marquez had against Pacquiao. But there's a lot involved here, man, because for me, it's that aging thing really, I personally can't get over that.
So take out the factor of going home with the demons, if you will, with the disappointment of Triple G does not win this third fight. Take that away. Triple G, win or lose, Roy, is this the swan song at 40 years old? Or if he defeats Canelo Alvarez, is there more still in front of him?
It's nothing else he got to do. He don't want to prove nothing else.
Right.
Understand? He's not that type of guy.
This one's personal.
He's only been fighting to hold up and wait for Canelo to circle back around to him for that third match. Now, in his opinion, he probably think he won both of the first two fights. Right. And the first fight, I thought he won. Second fight, I wouldn't give it to him because he asked for Mexican style, and when the Mexican style started, he didn't do it. Now, point-wise, he probably won the second fight. But because you asked for Mexican style, it kind of threw me off a little bit, This time, the problem he has is Canelo has a better chin and is known for a better chin than what Pacquiao has. Pacquiao had been knocked out before. Yeah. You understand me? Canelo have never been knocked out. Matter of fact, I don't think Canelo has ever been knocked down, has he? You understand? So the knockout is not sounding likely at 40 years old. Right. It didn't happen when you was younger. It really ain't sounding likely at 40 years old. Now, can you outbox and beat Canelo? Yes, you can, because you won the fight when Canelo backed up. You might have won the fight when you backed up. So clearly you might be the better boxer. And plus you have, once again, that Olympic pedigree that tells us that you are a very good technician in the ring. How can you use that, though, with 40-year-old legs to keep him off you enough so that he doesn't knock you out and now turn it into a unanimous decision victory? That's the key.
So Canelo has never been knocked down. Final thought quickly. Are you excited as we get closer, Antonio? 40, whatever age they are now, 2 years, 3 years too late. Are you excited about this fight?
I am excited about this fight. It's two of the biggest names, box office names in the game. Respected, so you got to give them, take your hats off to them for that. I just hope the fight lives up to the billing. There's a lot at stake here. I believe that loss is going to affect Canelo a little bit. It's hard coming off a loss. I don't care who you is. You got to put that in the back of your mind.
Yes.
And, so that's, he's going to have to deal with that a little bit early. And then I just want this fight to be competitive and the best man win this one. Let the best man win this fight.
Paulie, anticipated, excited?
Listen, it's
getting into the. I don't want to say the hype, but getting into the storyline.
It's a big fight in boxing, so we're all gonna be excited about it. Come fight week, there's gonna be a lot of hype for it. Listen, we boxing fans, that's what we do. We watch big fights and we look forward to the big fight week. But again, I stand by what I said at the very beginning of this. I see Canelo winning by knockout, and Canelo did this playing chess outside the ring, not just inside the ring. He waited this out on purpose. He get the knockout win, and then he can make people forget about the first two controversial fights. And that's what that's my prediction of what's going to happen.
24 exciting rounds, Roy. I guess we all hope that we're blessed with 12 more that look very similar to the first 24.
I can't see how we don't get 12 more. I mean, I know he's saying that he thinks Canelo will knock him out. I can't see him knocking out Triple G. You understand me? I don't know if Triple G ever been down before either, has he?
Nope.
Maybe not.
I don't think Triple G ever been. So I don't know how he gonna knock out Triple G because Triple G coming up with a whole different mindset. Triple G been targeting one guy, and that's always advantageous because when you gotta look around and see everybody, but this one guy only sees you, it's tunnel vision.
So leave your comments as well. We want to know what you think will happen in this fight. Who will win? Will it be as entertaining as the first two? And at 40 years old, when you're motivated in this day and age with dietitians and Big Bear and everything, will Triple G be able to look brilliant as he has earlier in his Hall of Fame career? We will find out. It is on DAZN pay-per-view from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada on Saturday, September 17th.
Don't get your feelings hurt by our opinions.
Never miss an episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. ProBox TV.
He got to get off the mat. He got to finish it.
What a round.
So far, semifinals are delivered.
This is my favorite part of Pro Box. This last chance tournament, everybody got something to fight for. I love it.
Another right hand. I tell you, Fernandez not going down around 9 could be crucial here. Good return by Canelo.
Everybody's giving it all they got.
Never a bad fight. Every single one of these fights delivers. Guys are hungry and guys are skilled enough to give a good fight. Wow, what a round.
And this is the opportunity that most of these guys never had. A fair shot. You get a fair shot here at ProBox TV. Wow! Go to ProBoxTV.com right now.